Awesome. So I appreciate just being here. This is always a great joy of mine. Um, there's one thing I will say that there's one thing to sell things and whatnot, but I got to tell you what I love doing is really helping people live more of their lives, just like this video talked about. And I'm so honored, so absolutely honored to be here with you guys. So what I'm going to talk about today is as you see on your screen, a simple 15-minute routine that will triple your revenue in the next 3 months, working 1/3 the time. And that in and of itself is a great feat. But we're going to take it even a step further, and I'm going to show you how to gain at least 15 hours per week of your life back. Because just like that video talked about, there's only a set amount of time that we have. Now, we don't know exactly what that time is, of course, but just like with the jelly beans, there's an idea that we have a certain amount of time. So we have to take the most advantage of that time as we possibly can. And I'm going to show you how to do that as it relates to your business in this video. Very similar to what I did with one of our clients here, Dr. Roshana Novellis. She came to us as an entrepreneur, already successful. She was already a successful entrepreneur, making really good money. But one of the things that she recognized was she wanted a change in her life. She was working about 12 to 14 hours a day, every day, and she wanted to get married. She wanted to have children. And she realized that, you know what, I'm not going to be able to do that working like I am, but her business had her that busy. So she came to us to kind of help restructure her business. And this is what we were able to do for her. We were actually able to triple her revenue that then when she came to us, and was able to take her work time down in half. And we did that by a couple of really innovative ways. We restructured her business. We restructured her pricing, her products, and all of that. And we also restructured the way she delivered her product. And I'm going to share with you some of the ideas on how we do that and show you how you can implement that in your business throughout this presentation. Now, before I jump into it, I want to just ask, you can ask questions here, and I'll try to get to them as best I can. And I also want to ask that you remove distractions. Now, one of the biggest challenges for us learning is distractions. We have multiple things going on, and we buy into this concept of multitasking. I'll watch this training while I'm doing Facebook or while I'm responding to emails. And the reality of it is there's really no such thing as multitasking. So, because at the end of the day, something always suffers. Something suffers. You're either going to miss something that I say, or you're going to miss something with whatever it is you're doing. So what I want to ask is that you remove distractions. I'm going to get through this as quickly as I can to help give you guys the value. So I just want to ask that you remove any distractions so that you can be present and pay attention to what we're doing here. And also, I want to ask that you use the information that I share with you, because learning this stuff and not implementing it is just as bad as not, if not worse, than not knowing it at all. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. And I always like to start this to say that this is the beginning of the rest of your life. All right, it starts now, because when you learn what I'm going to share with you, you're not going to be able to look at life again. Very similar to that jelly bean video. You're not going to be able to look at life again in the same way. When you think about how much time we spend and doing things that we do, you're just not going to be able to go back to the same. So if you guys are ready to get started, just type in beginning to recognize that this is the beginning of the rest of your life. I want to see #beginning coming in on the chat so that I could know that you guys are here, know that you guys are ready, know that you guys are looking awesome. So we've got Mark, we've got Jarvis, we've got Diane, Karen. Awesome. So awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for that. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are here and are present. So I'm going to be talking about how to save time. I'm going to be talking about time concepts here. So I'm a very big proponent of time, and you'll see that throughout this presentation. And I say that for this reason. I want to make sure that you are in the right place right now. So because I want to make sure that your time is best spent. So let's find out if you are in the right place before I get into the rest of the presentation. So is this you? Are you working 10 to 12, as much as 14 hours a day, and your income doesn't reflect it? No matter how much time you work, you find that your revenue is plateaued. But you really want to make more money. Do you find that you have massive fluctuations in revenue? Some months you might make $1,000, the next month you make $5, the next you make none. Give me a yes if that's you. If you see yourselves doing any of these things that I mentioned. Is this you? You might even find that you're doing well financially, like Dr. Novellis was, but you don't have the time to do the things that you love to do, like travel or golf or spending time with your family. And here's the interesting thing. You might even find yourself not doing financially well and not having the time to do the things that you love, because that's where I was. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. You might even find that you love what you do, but you're starting to feel burned out. You might be falling out of love with what you do. You went into a thing thinking like, man, this is great. I love this business, but you're really starting to find out that you hate it. I ran a technology company for several years, and I love computers. I love computers. And the reality of it is that I ran my business so poorly. That I actually started disliking anything dealing with technology for a while. And I had grown up around computers, and I'll talk about that as well. But I started falling out of love with it, not because I actually didn't love technology. It was because my business was running so poorly that I started feeling burned out. So this presentation and this training is perfect for what I like to call cast entrepreneurs. These are your coaches, your authors, your speakers, your trainers, any type of online marketer. If you are any type of agency, whether you do web design or graphic design, marketing agency, or professional service providers, then this is for you. Now, this is not for you. And I just want to be very clear so that you can get value from this. This is not for you if you don't have a business yet, or you're still deciding what you want to do. If you're still trying to figure out, well, maybe I want to sell eBay, maybe I want to do Amazon, maybe I want to do Facebook arbitrage, maybe I want to do some other thing of that nature, this is probably not going to be for you. And if you're looking for another shiny object, meaning that you jump from program to 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 program and never implement anything. Okay, if that is you, then you're not gonna get as much value from this program. I just want to be completely honest and completely transparent so that you can get the most value from this program, because this is all about getting you the value that I want to get you. So here we are. Let's get started. I'm going to share with you just some really quick statistics here. This is about the earnings in the US. This was put out in the national census that the average annual income in the US is $56,516 per year. And this is an average person working 46 hours per week. But here's a really interesting fact as well. The Small Business Administration says that the average US business owner's income is $46,978, working 61 hours per week. Now, I want you to look at this comparison here. The average annual income of a worker with a job is $56K, working 46 hours a week, but the average income of the average business owner is about $46,000, $10,000 less, working almost 20 hours more. Okay, now, why does this even matter? Why does this even matter? Well, because if you are, as an entrepreneur, are finding yourself working more and more and more and making less and less and less, guess what's going to happen? just like with this chart, we know that when you start a business, you're going to start working more and more hours. But what ends up happening is that we hit a point that's called the danger zone, is where your time is going up, 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 but your income is either staying the same or going down. And this is why most entrepreneurs quit, is that they get overwhelmed and they get frustrated and they end up quitting. And what we're going to show you is how to make the switch today to actually working less and making more. Now, you may have heard that term in the past. How do you work, work less and make more? But I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Now, I'm going to give you a brief introduction of who I am, why I'm here, and why all of this matters. So again, my name is Antonio Thornton. I've been called the Profit Engineer. I got that name from one of my clients just because of the way I go about and approach things. I'm a nerd, and I admit that I'm a nerd, but I enjoy being a nerd because I tend to break things down on a way that makes it really simple for people to understand things because of my engineering background. But here's the thing. I haven't always been the profit engineer. I think back to December 23rd, 2003. I had $138 in my bank account. I'm going to tell you in just a few minutes why that number is so important. This is a picture of me that my fiance at the time took. And I was really upset with her that she took this picture because I was going through a really rough time. A lot of things weren't going right in my life. And it was a really dark time in my life. But here's the thing. She said to me, I'm taking this picture because you're going to look back on this and you're going to see, how far you've come. And if you look at my eyes there, you can actually see the despair in my eyes from that photo. This just really wasn't a good time. What you're looking at right now is my actual office. That was my desk at the time. It was a $7 folding table that I had bought from Walmart because that's all I could afford at the time. That computer that I had was loaned to me. This air mattress that you see was my bed. This is where I slept. Now, because that's all I was. I was living in the basement of a woman in a woman's home in Las Vegas, and that little black device that you see next to the air mattress, that's actually an air pump because that air mattress had a small leak in it. So I would go to sleep at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and by 3 o'clock in the morning, the thing would be flat on the ground and hurt my back because all the air had gone out of it. So every night I would have to get up in the middle of the night and put more air in the thing. And that was my life at the time. But all of that changed when I was fortunate enough to find a mentor who took me from having $138 in my bank account. He shared something with me that I'm going to share with you today that took me to having $10,300 in my bank account by December 29th, which was 8 days later. And this is probably one of the most powerful things that have occurred in my life. To 6 months later, earning over $100,000 a week. I was interviewed on CNBC and also TNT, which are television stations here in the US. And since then, I've gone on to build and run multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses. And I've worked with many, many, many top name people from around the world. Bob Proctor and Bob Doyle from The Secret, Les Brown, international speaker, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Bill Rancic from The Apprentice. I don't know if you guys remember that show that one of our former presidents ran, which was The Apprentice. Tony Robbins coaches, and I've worked with several other businesses around the world. I've been featured in multiple magazines and publications, CNN, Entrepreneur, USA Today, and several others. And we actually closed Facebook as a client last year, which was exciting for me. But the thing that was I'm most proud of all the things that we've done is what you're seeing right here. These are my two children, Aria and Avery. And we, what's so exciting to me about Aria and Avery is that they are, first of all, I'm a present father with them. We spend time together. We travel around the world. My children have more passport stamps than most adults. And I'm very proud of that. They speak 4 languages: Chinese, Spanish, English, and American Sign Language. And I don't say any of that to brag. I say all of that to say is that lifestyle is really what matters most. I could talk to you all day and all night about how much money I make and all this and the other. But the thing that matters most is the ability for me to be able to spend time that I do with my children and my family. And that is what matters at the end of the day. Now, as I said earlier, the information I'm going to share with you guys today is not some get rich quick program. Okay. So if you're looking for another program to buy that's going to show you how to use ClickBank to make some ungodly amount of profits, this is not it. This is not another bright shining object. This is not a push button, do nothing program. So that's what you're looking for, and that's what you're anticipating. Please understand that this is not it. What I'm going to share with you is not sexy. You're not going to start running all over the room, with your arms flailed up in the air saying, wow, this thing is going to make me a millionaire by tomorrow. Okay, that is not what this is. I'm going to show you a 3-step system that's going to get you at least 15 hours of your week back, 3 to 5x your business in the next 90 days, and finally have the business you love and avoid a bunch of stupid mistakes that I made and several other business owners have made in their businesses. So you want to write this down. This is the 3-step formula that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Step number 1 is monitor your time. Monitor your time. So make sure to jot this down. Step number 2, monetize your time. Step number 3, maximize your time. And I'll give you guys a quick moment to write that down. Now, I'm going to explain each one of these, but I wanted to make sure that you write these 3 steps down, because this is all you need to 3x to 5x your business in the next 90 days and get at least 15 hours a week of your time back. So let's start out with step number 1, monitor your time. I like to call this the productivity paradox. How productivity and hustling are actually killing your business. Now, why do I call this productivity paradox? Ask any business owner, any successful. I'll ask you guys, what is it that when you ask people, hey, what makes you so successful? Type in the chat box here. What do you think people are going to tell you to do? What are you going to think of people? What do people tell you to do? Yep, I'm getting that. Yeah, hustle. They tell you to hustle. You got to grind. Those are some of the words that we tend to hear. Grind. Sleep when you're dead. Yeah, that type of stuff. We hear all those types of things. And that's what we think we're supposed to do. You got to work hard. Absolutely. You got to work hard. These are the things that we are told to do. But I'm going to tell you why these things are actually bad for you. So this is you. All right. You're here. You're thinking about, well, you know what? I want to start a business and I got to figure out what it is I want to do. So your job is to come up with some type of widget. Now, I'm going to call it a widget, whether you're selling a product or a service. We'll just call it a widget. All right. So you got to come up with a product or widget. Now, when you decide that there's a product or widget you want, then what do you have to do? What's the very first thing you have to do with that widget? You have to get good at that widget. So there's time, effort, energy, and money that goes into getting good at a widget. You can't just do something that you have no skills in, right? So you have to hone your expertise with the widget. Now, someone, take a guess. What's the next thing you do once you have some expertise, some widget, some product or thing? What is the next thing you have to do? So type in the chat. I want to see what you guys see, what you think is next for you. Right. You got to sell it. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Is that Sheila? Yes. Awesome. A couple other folks. Yes. You got to sell it. Absolutely. And so you got to learn sales. You got to learn all the things that go along with sales, opt-in, sales letter, copywriting, order pages, emails, pay-per-click ads, etc. Then you got to move into things like customer relations, like customer service and fulfillment, testimonial acquisitions, and then the legal side of running your business, FTC here in the US, GDPR over the pond, and we've got spam and all those types of things. Then you've got traffic that you've got to deal with. RSS feeds, SEO testing, link buying, link building, blogging. Then you start building strategic partners and writing JV copy, recruiting affiliates, and then paying your affiliates, doing joint venture webinars. Then you've got business building, doing upsells and downsells. You've got market analysis. You've got creating systems, internal and external. You've got content creation, things like products, ebooks, blog entries, graphics, social media. You've got the technical aspect of running your business, whitelisting, site maintenance, tracking, server maintenance. You've got finance, you got, budgeting, accounts payable, insurance, taxes. Then you've got list building, deliverability, segmenting, getting your list management. And forget about it. If you want to hire somebody, now you've got HR to deal with. I got to tell you, I'm getting a lot of great comments in here like, oh my gosh. I did this presentation one time and this woman said, she says, I feel like I'm actually having an anxiety attack right now, just looking at all of this stuff. And here's what all of this stuff equates to: chaos. Chaos. Can you type in hashtag chaos? This is, and if you can relate to this, trying to run your business, let me see you type in hashtag chaos. I'm getting a few chaoses coming in now. Yes, absolutely. But this is how most people run their businesses. But here's the unfortunate reality of it. Even after doing all of this stuff, you'll find that you're busy and broke. This is what a friend of mine calls this: busy and broke. These are the folks who are working hours and hours and hours and hours doing all of this stuff and still not making any money. That's where I was. That is exactly where I was back in December of 2003. I was working 12, 14 hours a day, and all I had to my name at that time was $138 in my bank account. But all that changed, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Now, here's a solution to step one, which I said was monitor your time. Every 15 minutes, write down everything you've done. Why is this so critically important? Type in me if this is you. Type in me if this is you. If you have ever worked a hard day and at the end of the day, you can't even really remember what you've done. It's like, you did some things, I've done some things, but I don't even know what I've done. Your spouse may ask you, hey, how was your day? What did you do? And you're like, I did some things, but I have no idea. Let me see, let's just type in me if that's you. Mark, says G. Joni, John, awesome, yes. This is why monitoring your time is so important. So you write down, every 15 minutes, you write down what you've done. And what this does for you is that this brings awareness to what you're actually doing. It brings awareness to what you're doing. This is a great and powerful quote by Laura Kelvin. He says, that which is not measured cannot be improved. So if you're working all day and you have no idea what you've done, then you don't even know what to fix. You have no idea what to fix. This is why writing down what you've done is so important. So what that awareness does is that it leads to action. That awareness leads to action. You being able to do something about your situation. That which is not measured cannot be improved. So your ability to know gives you ability to take action. Just like we did with one of my clients, one of my favorite people in the world, Chef Carlton. If you ever make it to the US and Atlanta, Georgia, look Carlton up and try this man's food out. He is a chef of a company called Occasional Occasions. Again, a wonderful, wonderful man. And he came to us doing okay, but his marriage was on the rocks. He and his husband were having a challenging time because of how much he was working. And what we did with Chef Carlton was made him aware of where he was spending his time. We showed him this process and we found he was spending about 8 hours a week doing grocery shopping. I said, dude, you're a master chef. You have no business being in the grocery store doing grocery shopping. And we found other little areas of his business that he was wasting a lot of time. Chef Carlton called me one day and says, hey man, I've got some news. I said, oh, okay, great. He says, I just got the phone in my account. I was like, uh-oh, hope I didn't do anything wrong. I said, well, what did you guys talk about? He said, he told me that I made triple what I made last year after working with you. And I was just like, wow, man, that is fantastic. And then he went on to tell me that he's saving about 17 hours per week and having more time to be able to spend with his husband was life transformative for him. This was such a powerful thing, guys. And like I said, I could sit up here and tell you all day about how much money people made and this and the other, but the reality of it is that I'm saving lives. I'm saving marriages. I'm saving relationships with children. And that truly inspires me. So just to recap, step number one, monitor your time. Here are your key takeaways. Write these down. Busy doesn't mean productive. When I talked about the productivity paradox, busy doesn't mean productive. Just because you're working a bunch of hours every day doesn't mean you're productive. And I'm going to show you why that's even an oxymoron in and of itself. So busy doesn't mean productive. Next key takeaway, write down what you do. Write down what you do. And the next key takeaway is that awareness leads to action. Remember that Laura Calvin quote, awareness leads to action. All right. So let's keep it moving here. Step number two. Now, if you're still with me, I need to see in the chat box, hashtag with you. Tell me that you're with me, with you. So I need to see hashtag with you. Let me see that coming in. I'm gonna pause here because I need to make sure that you guys are here with me. Awesome. So we got Greg, John, Sheila, awesome, Billy, Peter, awesome with me. Yes, thank you. Now, step number two, as I showed you guys, monetize your time. So, right, step number one was monitor. Step number two, monetize. I'm going to share with you in this step, guys, the 3-word phrase that my mentor shared with me that shot my income from $138 in my bank account to $10,300 8 days later. And I'm going to share something I'm going to tell you. And I know this sounds like a tall order, but this is guaranteed to make you money every time you do it. This 3-word phrase is guaranteed to make you money every time you do it. All right. Took me from $138 to $10,300 8 days later to making $100,000 a week 6 months later. Now, before I share with you what these 3 words are, I have to give you a warning. Now, and when I say warning, a lot of times when we see warning signs, these are things that may be able to hurt us or cause harm, etc. Some warnings are things that don't cause us harm, but some warnings are things that keep us the same. And I'm going to share with you why that's so important in just a second. But this is the warning that I want to share with you right now in this moment. It is a warning that actually comes from Steve Jobs. And this is one of his more famous quotes. He says, simple can be harder than complex. Simple can be harder than complex. And here's what this means. Some of the greatest minds of all times have talked about why we make our lives so difficult. And some of that, and some of the biggest breakthroughs comes from simplicity. But what do we do as individuals? We make our lives more difficult than it needs to be by doing all of this stuff because we believe that doing this stuff is the key to getting successful. And here's the reality of it. Working hard is not the key to being successful. Because if that were the case, let's look at the people who work the hardest, the janitors, the ditch diggers of the world, the manual laborers. If working hard was the key, they'd be the richest people in the world. So this chaos that we create for ourselves is not the way. It is not the way. Now, I'm going to share with you a really quick story. about how these three words came about so you can understand the context of why they were so powerful and so transformative for me. Back in December 2003, I got a call from my mentor, Jeff Paul. He says to me, Antonio, I'm coming to Vegas. I want you to come out with us. We're going to go out to eat. We're going to have a good time, etc. And I'm sitting there in my mind thinking, wait a minute, I don't have much money in my bank account. I literally went to go check my bank account when he told me this. And I was just like, okay, I'll go. I was afraid to agree because I know Jeff loves to do it big. So I was thinking, I'm not going to have enough money to even pay for my food, to pay for anything. But something just told me to say okay, and I went. So they came to pick me up in a van. Several other people, other folks that you guys probably even know were in that van. And as we were driving to the restaurant in the van, everybody started sharing their stories about what was going on. Yeah, I just did this lunch last week. I brought in $1.2 million. This other person, yeah, my membership is doing well. It's bringing in about 70 grand a month. Oh, man, I just sold my other company for $6 million and blah, blah, blah. All these stories were going around in van. This guy had $138 in his bank account. So when it came around to me, I kind of sat there for a moment. And I still get a little choked up sometimes when I think about this because it took everything inside of me not to start crying in that van because I was so embarrassed about what was going on in my life. I wanted to be able to have those same success stories as those other guys, but I didn't. So I said, well, maybe I should just lie and just say that I'm doing well, et cetera. But something told me, no, tell the truth. So as best I could, I mustered up the strength to say, guys, I'm just not doing that well. I'm working all these hours. I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm just not doing that well, man. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong with me. Am I stupid? Do I need to quit? Do I need to do something else? So I was going on. Jeff says, okay, hold on. He says, listen, man, I understand where you are. We've all been there. Now I'm going to ask you a question. He says, if I tell you what to do, will you commit to doing it? To get you to success, will you commit to doing it? No questions asked. I said, man, listen, if you told me to jump out of this van moving at 60 miles an hour that was going to get me to success, I would do it. He says, all right, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. No questions. And he shared these three magic words with me that I'm about to share with you. Now, tell you what, let's make sure you're with me. Let's type in hashtag 3 words, hashtag 3 words. If you want me to reveal the 3 words that Jeff shared with me, I'm going to share those words with you now. I just need to see hashtag 3 words, hashtag 3 words to make sure you guys are with me. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Awesome. Anthony. Awesome. Derek, John, Kobe, Corey. Awesome. This is what he said. And excuse the language, sell more shit. That was it. That's all he said. Sell more shit. And I said, what is it? He said, nope, you agreed. No questions. I said, I would tell you what to do if you agreed, no questions. I said, okay. All right. So I sat there, a little sheepish, trying to figure out, well, what does he even mean by that? Blah, blah, blah. My mind's going all over the place. And here's what ends up happening. We got to dinner later and he says, okay, Antonio, I see that you're sweating over there. You're stressing out, man. Listen, let me let you off the hook. I'll explain to you what I mean. And I was like, okay, thank you. And what he shared with me, like I said, it took me from $138 in my bank account to 6 months later, $100K per week. And this is what he explained. Business is not random. Business is not random. It's not hoping and praying and wishing that things work out. Business is very simple. Business is cause and effect. It is cause and effect. Now, let's look at that phrase, cause and effect. Cause and effect. This is the definition that ye old Google has to say about cause and effect. It is the concept that an action or event will produce a certain response to the action in the form of another event. Now, that's a very sophisticated way of saying, if you do a thing, something happens, okay? If you do a thing, then something happens. And that is business, ladies and gentlemen. So let's look at it this way. You get in your car, you push your button or you turn the key, the car starts, right? Boom, cause and effect. You drop a pin, boom, hits the floor. It doesn't fly across the room, right? Boom, jump in the pool, you get wet. Cause and effect. Here's the thing with business. When you sell stuff, you make money. Duh. When you sell stuff, you make money. I'm going to show you why that's so important in just a second. Here's the reality of it. We call them RGAs, revenue generating activities. When you do revenue generating activities, you make money. And conversely, when you don't do revenue generating activities, you won't make money. Write this down, ladies and gentlemen. There's only one thing, the only thing that makes money in business, the only thing that makes money in business, the only thing that makes money in business is RGAs. Let me see that in the chat, guys. Hashtag RGAs, RGAs, RGAs. We're going to shout that out. RGAs, revenue generating activities. These are the only things that make money in business. And when I say the only things, guys, I mean the only things, not building websites, writing articles, writing books, creating funnels, watching webinars, creating products, customer service, reading books, doing training, scrolling through Facebook, IG, and Twitter. The only thing that makes money is revenue generating activities. And here's a big surprise, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you are going to say, wait, what? Even providing your own product and service is not a revenue generating activity. Even providing your own product or service is not a revenue generating activity. Here's why. Here's why. It is not the providing of a product or service that makes money. It is the selling of that product or service that makes money. It is not the writing of a book that makes money. It is the selling of the book that makes money. It is not the creating a product that makes money. It is the selling of that product that makes money. And the majority of the things that you saw on that chart earlier are non-revenue generating activities. And that goes to the productivity paradox. Busy doesn't mean productive, and productive doesn't mean profitable. Busy doesn't mean productive, and productive doesn't mean profitable. Of all those things that you see on this chart, less than 5% of them are actually revenue generating. So here's the reality of it, guys. The majority of the things that you're doing throughout the day are non-revenue generating activities. What's the solution? Focus on RGAs. Focus on RGAs. Monetize your time. So let's recap. Step number 2, key takeaways. Productive does not mean profitable, right? Like I said earlier, busy doesn't mean productive, and productive doesn't mean profitable. That's the productivity paradox. The only one thing that makes money in business is, what is it, everybody? Let's say it together. Revenue generating activities. That is the only one thing that makes money in business. No matter how hard you try, no matter how earnest you are at doing those things, no matter how long you spend doing those things. One of the things here in the States, a lot of times people will brag about how long they work. Oh, I put in 16 hours yesterday. Oh, I put in the time. They say all these things, but here's the reality, guys. If you're spending all your day doing non-revenue generating activities, you won't generate revenue. So identify your RGAs and focus on doing those. That's what we did with our client, Randy Fry, wonderful attorney here in the States. And I say wonderful attorney, and I truly mean that because we don't tend to work with attorneys. For years, we would tell attorneys, no, we're not working with you. But Randy's such a wonderful guy. He came in, again, doing a lot of stuff as an attorney, doing a lot of things over here, over there, doing this, doing that. What we were able to do is to show, oh, hey, listen, of all the things that you're doing, only these things are making you money. So let's focus on just doing those things. And within a month and a half, he doubled his business. Within a month and a half, he doubled his business by focusing on revenue generating activities. It was just him at one time. Now, Randy has 7 other attorneys who works under him. Why? Because he focused on revenue generating activities. All right, we're going to keep it moving. I want to keep it moving here and get you guys back to your day so you can start on your revenue generating activities, right? That's what we're going to do. As soon as we're done, we're going to start on revenue generating activities. Number 3, maximize your time. Step number 1 was monitor your time. Step number 2 was monetize your time. Step number 3 is maximize your time. I'm going to show you how to 3x, 5x, or 10x your income at will. A real life case study that makes one of my clients as much as $64,000 in 1 hour. I'm going to show you the exact same system that I use to create millions of dollars for people like Les Brown, Robert Kiyosaki, Bob Proctor, and Bob Doyle from The Secret, New York Times bestselling author Ron Douglas, and dozens of clients around the world. Before I share with you, though, this last step, I want to show you why I'm even here today. You always hear people talk about their why. I'm going to show you who my why is. This is one of my best friends, Tino Abayami Paul. We met when I lived in Vegas and had an instant connection and became the best of friends immediately. Very quickly, I came to understand that Tino was dealing with cancer. Not only was she dealing with cancer, she was also dealing with a second autoimmune disease that was attacking her body. Tino, between the pain that she was in and the opioids that she was on to maintain the pain that she was in, she only had about 1 hour of coherency per day because she was either hurting or high, one of the two. And she literally only had about 1 hour per day to work. The problem was that she was the head of the household. Her mom had lost her job. Her sister had just had twins. Her sister's husband was off in Africa, and she was the head of household. Now, what do when you only have an hour a day to work? Because your body is attacking itself. And the only time that you're not in pain, you're loopy because you're on some concoction of multiple opioids to maintain your pain so that you're not sitting there crying. So all you have is 1 hour a day to work. What do you do? What do you do? And you're responsible for taking care of the household. My heart went out to this woman because of how close we had gotten. And I said, I've got to figure out how I can help her. I took the same principles that I learned and used that Jeff taught me. And I said, Tina, we're going to do this thing that my mentor taught me. I was able to help Tina build a 6-figure business working 1 hour per day using what I'm going to share with you today. The same concept, this 15-minute routine that I was teaching, the same exact thing that Jeff taught me that I'm teaching you now was able to get Tina to making a 6-figure business working 1 hour per day. But I got to tell you this. A lot of people say, oh, wow, this is time management. Oh, okay. So Antonio was talking, no, this is not time management. Why is it not time management? Because a very wise man, Albert Einstein, said, there is no such thing as time management. There's no such thing as time management. And you may be thinking, well, what do you mean, Antonio? There's dozens and hundreds of books on time management. Here's the thing. Let's look at it this way. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions. Type in agree if you agree with this concept. All right. So I just want you to type in agree. Do you have 24 hours in a day? Just type in agree. Yes. If you agree with that, if you have 24 hours in a day, if you agree with that. Awesome. 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 Got to agree. Agrees coming in. Great. Now, type in if your friends and family have 24 hours in a day. Type in agree if you agree with that. I'm getting some more agrees coming in. Yes, yeses, agree. Awesome. So here's the thing. If we all agree that we only have 24 hours in the day, can we also agree that there are no more than 24 hours? And then there's also no less than 24 hours in the day, right? Now, sometimes I know it feels like it's less, but there is only 24 hours in the day and we all have the same amount of time. So here's the thing. If we can agree that there's no more and no less than 24 hours a day, and everyone has the same 24 hours a day, there's really no such thing as time management. There's really no such thing as time management. You can only manage yourself according to time. You can only manage yourself according to time. And what I'm going to show you is how to manage yourself according to income. Here's what I mean by that. Let's take this entrepreneur here. This guy's making $60,000 per year. This entrepreneur here, this woman, is making $600,000 per year. This gentleman here is making $6 million per year. What's the difference? What is the difference between these three entrepreneurs? And what I want you to do is ask, what are you making per year? What are you making per year right now? Think about that in your head. You don't have to type it in the chat, but I want you to think about, what are you making per year? What's the difference between a $60,000 a year business, a $600,000 a year business, a $6 million a year business, and what you're making? It's one thing. What they're doing with those 24 hours. What they're doing with those 24 hours. So it's not about managing time, it's about managing themselves, because what you do dictates your revenue. What you do dictates your revenue. Let's say that together. What you do dictates your revenue. It's not time, it's you. Because math. If you spend the majority of your time doing $30 to $50 an hour activities, you make about $60,000 a year. If you spend the majority of your time doing $300 to $500 an hour activities, you make about $600K per year. If you spend the majority of your time doing $3,000 hour activities, you can make as much as $6 million per year. But you may be thinking, wait a minute, Antonio, $3,000 an hour activities? What in the world is that? This is one of my clients, Ron Douglas, New York Times best-selling author. Ron makes as much as $64,000 in an hour, in one single hour. How does he do that? He rarely works. You don't need to work much. You can make $64,000 an hour. He does that through doing webinars. He took his business and started shifting him to doing more webinars, and that took his income up threefold within 4 months. Added an entire 6 figures to his business by shifting where Ron spent his time. Here's the thing. This is what most people are doing. They're sitting around trying to fix error messages on a website. They're trying to get their autoresponder working correctly, chasing clients for past due payments, responding to customer service requests, writing articles and blogging and doing social media stuff. As we said earlier, working hard does not magically make you money. So let's recap. 3 steps. Step number 1, monitor your time. Step number 2, monetize your time, right? Monitor, monetize. Step number 3, maximize your time. Stop winging it, doing a whole bunch of stuff. Stop doing stuff that doesn't make money. And thirdly, stop doing low value activities. Are you guys getting this? I'm hoping that you guys are getting this. Let me know if you're getting this. Type yes in the box if you guys are getting this. And I'm hoping this is making sense to you, because so many people come to me and say, oh, you know, I'm not making as much money. I'm not making. This is the exact same process I take everyone through. And they get it. They immediately start seeing why they're not making money. They immediately see why they're not making money, because you're doing activities that don't make money. Now, even as simple as I try to make this, I know it can get overwhelming, but I hope you guys would agree that this has been a good investment of your time. And that's why I said at the very beginning, I wanted to make sure that you're in the right place. Because if you don't have a business, if you're not trying to do anything, if you're trying to, you're not going to get value. But for those of you who stayed, I appreciate you guys being here. But I want to make sure that you guys feel that this was a good investment of your time. And if so, just let me know in the chat box that yes, it was. If you guys felt this was valuable to you. Now, I know I went over a lot of stuff and I went quickly. Sometimes I could talk a little fast. I get excited about this stuff. You see, I get really passionate about this. So I know you may be in brain overload, like, oh my gosh, even seeing that chart, like I was doing all this stuff and, trying to figure out all the things that I'm doing. But here's the thing, I know you're at a crossroads right now. There's really only a few choices that you have moving forward. One is that you can continue doing what you're doing. You can do nothing and just go back to doing the same thing that you've always done, right? The second thing you can do is that you can try to do it yourself, to try to go figure all this stuff out on your own. I love this artist here. This guy's on Twitter. He does these funny drawings of celebrities. And he knows he's not an artist, but he does the best he can. But this is what happens when you try things on your own. And thirdly, your third option is to get help. Your third option is to get help. And here is